By the end of this video, you'll walk away with 7 behavioral hacks that you can use to spend less money while living an enjoyable life. I applied these exact principles to save over $300,000 on an average income without living like I'm broke. And so number 1, when I first moved to Asia, I developed a bubble tea addiction. Every second day, I would crave a bubble tea, I would get it delivered for around $4 to my home, and that added up. And eventually, I recognized that not only is it pricey if I do it every single day or every second day, it's also a lot of sugar I'm putting into my system. And so I replaced bubble tea with coconut water. I realized that what I needed was not bubble tea, I just needed a cold drink at the end of the day to reward myself for a day's hard work. So the first tip is for you to find acceptable, cheaper, and healthier alternatives. Not only will you spend less money, you'll also be healthier. For example, you could go to Starbucks to buy that coffee, or you could just buy a 12-pack of Americanos at your local supermarket. Number 2, if you watched my budgeting video, you'll know that I believe it's okay to spoil yourself once in a while, as long as you're meeting your savings and investment goals. And so a few years ago, I took my then girlfriend, now wife, to Club Med for a few days of relaxing resort-like vacation. It was not cheap, but my wife still talks about it today, and it's become such a pleasant memory. And so my second tip is to, instead of spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on spoiling yourself, be generous with other people. Instead of spending 20% of your income on wants for yourself, maybe spend 5% of your income on wants for yourself and 10% of your income spoiling the ones you love. You'll find that being generous with your time, with your money, will reap exponential returns over time. It will make you a happier person. It will improve your relationships. It will reduce your stress. And no, I'm not saying buy everyone you know a birthday gift. I'm just saying if you have people that you love and you want to give them the life you think they deserve, then you can take a step towards that with your finances. In fact, that's what this channel is about. It's about creating a life where we're able to give the people we love the life they deserve. If you're into that, subscribe to this channel and watch me create a business that will allow me to give my family the life they deserve as proof that you can do the same. Okay, let's talk about the third tip, and I have to tell you about 2 big purchases that I made. I spent $700 on a monitor, a second monitor. I also spent about $700 on a vacuum cleaner. And now you're thinking, oh my gosh, why would you spend that much money on a monitor/vacuum cleaner? And the answer is because I use them a lot. In fact, I probably use my vacuum and monitor more because I paid more for it. And so instead of buying the cheapest thing, I want you to think about minimizing the cost per use. The more you use something, the cheaper it becomes. And my wife is super happy because sometimes I just randomly pick up the vacuum and start vacuuming the home. And I think old fire and old financial minimalism teaches you to spend as little as possible. Just focus on your necessity and needs without realizing that even though sometimes you do pay a premium for the goods you buy, there is an increased utility, happiness, and functional practicality from using the actual thing that you buy when you pay more for it. And so the answer is never to spend as little as possible. Because if that were the answer, we'd all be living out on the streets trying to save towards becoming a millionaire. But we're not doing that. And so the answer is always to spend as little as possible while maximizing the efficiency of each dollar spent. Efficiency is minimizing input but maximizing output. So you really have to think about how you can spend your money in a way that maximizes its utility. Number 4, When I was younger and a little bit less wise, I would have these budgeting apps to track every single expense. The problem was that I was busy, and I did not have time between working full time and having 3 part-time jobs to sit down for an hour or even just half an hour at the end of the day and record all the transactions that I made throughout the day. I would forget at least one thing or two things. And so as a solution, I developed something I call Slack budgeting. It's something I learned from my accounting classes. In a nutshell, it's about figuring out what's the maximum amount of money you can spend in one day while still meeting all of your money goals. And as long as you spend less than that number the whole day, you don't really have to track anything. And so budgeting more than what I need has saved me so much mental capacity and has allowed me to do stuff like build this YouTube channel. And you can apply this concept to other aspects of your life as well. You just need to ask yourself the question, what is the one metric you need to track and improve in order to meet all your other goals that you want? All right, moving on to number 5. I fell into this kind of on a whim. In 2019, my parents came across an apartment in Vancouver that they thought was good. And my sister was interested. And they asked me if I was interested. I was like, sure, because I don't know anything about real estate. And next thing you know, I signed a contract on a pre-sale for an apartment. And I needed to come up with a down payment within 3 years. And so that forced me to save money. In fact, owning a home might not be the highest ROI investment compared to something like the stock market, but it's a forced savings vehicle, which means you probably wouldn't be saving that money if you didn't have a mortgage payment to pay. And so whether it's a home or an automatic investment plan or a dividend reinvestment plan or even an annuity, all of these things makes saving automatic. And so let's move on to number 6. I wanted to buy the best baby stroller for my newborn son. And so I was browsing the internet looking for the number 1 best stroller, and I eventually came across the UPPAbaby Cruise stroller. The only problem was that it was like $700. Now, I know there are strollers that are more expensive, but for my budget, that felt really high end to me. And we also wanted a basket, which would cost another $300. And so being a reasonable, financially responsible new father, I went online and looked on the secondhand market and bought a basket for half of that. And I'm sure in the future I can resell it for around the same amount. Now, I still bought the stroller new, but I did get a discount and I saved about $200 on that. But that's not the point of this tip. The point is to buy second hand, especially when the extra money you spend is gonna be meaningless. Like, instead of buying a brand new car, why not buy a 1-year-old car with warranty on low mileage? You know in your heart, it really doesn't make a difference. The only material difference that you get in a brand new car versus a 1-year-old car is probably that brand new car smell that you get, which is manufactured, by the way, in a brand new car. And this kind of brings me to number 7, which is I want you to gain self-awareness around what actually makes you happy, and don't spend money on anything that doesn't actually make you happy. I mean, growing up, I had wanted this Burberry scarf on me, but once I got the scarf, I found out that I never really wanted it. I don't even really wear scarves, and now I have a $1,000 scarf sitting in my closet collecting dust. Needless to say, that was a purchase I wasn't very proud of. But that taught me a lesson. Here's what actually makes me happy. And you might see some commonalities. Being able to provide for myself and my family, knowing that my finances are getting better day by day, knowing that my relationships with the people I love are getting better day by day. That makes me happy, not the scarf. But that's just me, and I wrapped up all of these principles under what I call new financial minimalism. If you want to learn about some principles to this new financial minimalism thing, then watch this video right here.